Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one, I'd like to take a look at the very best cards from the set Prismatic Evolutions. So, it is worth noting before we start, Prismatic Evolutions, as you probably know by now, is honestly one of the worst sets in memory when it comes to new playable cards. This is really supposed to be a collector's set, so there's just nothing really for us players. There's reprints, I guess, that's kind of cool, and some new artworks for existing cards, but really it's just terrible for new cards. So yeah, kind of sucks. And the set is basically hard carried by Budew and Reggis, which could leave a mark on the format, especially Budew. We'll talk more about them when we get to them in the video. But yeah, however, as it stands, and this of course might not be true, it might change. However, two cards might be, well, I say might be, but were removed from the set that feature in this video. And for the sake of feeling sorry for them and just shamelessly padding out content, I will still feature them in this video because it's just out of spite, really. I really think they should have been in this set. And the fact that they're not is really annoying because it means basically when we get to Journey Together, which is the set that they should feature in, the next main English set, we'll have to compete them against, other cards and decks that release in that set. So for example, everyone will want to focus on the owner's mechanic and all the new cards in that set, as opposed to stuff like Blaziken EX, for example, which is, nowhere near as good or playable as like the Hop deck or whatever. So, yeah, very, very annoying. Also, shout out to Justin Basil for the English proxies just before we get going. So, yeah, Blaziken EX, RIP. So, yeah, speak of the Fire Chicken and he shall appear. But yeah, it's honestly a really cool card. Big shame if this card does end up being cut from Prismatic Evolutions, but honestly just a very fun support Pokemon. 320 HP, so pretty tanky. Has the ability Overflowing Spirit, which is kind of the main reason you'd ever want to play Blaziken, really. Once during your turn, you may attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon. Just a really cool ability. Doesn't mean you necessarily have to play it with Fire Energy. You could just play this with other energy support. But yeah, still honestly a very solid ability overall. Also got the attack Burning Assault, which does 200 for 2. And during your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack. But 200 is not a lot of damage. This is very much a secondary or emergency attacker, if you will. But yeah, the ability is cool though. So yeah, not as good as Charizard, of course, but still a fairly strong ability. You could pair this up with things like Arcanine, maybe even the Heartflame Mask Ogerpon, possibly Slacking, which is the list that I've been looking at from Japan. So like Slacking and Blaziken, which kind of makes sense, I guess. Like Blaziken pays for the attack cost while also charging up other attackers in the deck like Tarapagos, which is cool. So yeah, at least Blaziken will have some niche use, but again, very frustrating if it gets delayed. So yeah, RIP Blaziken. Next up is we have the best evolutions from the set, in my opinion. Sylveon honestly might also be delayed just because Sylveon was part of the same batch of cards as Blaziken and Liligant were. But the thing is with Sylveon is it doesn't really make that much sense to me that they would delay Sylveon in an EV-focused set, Doesn't make any sense at all as to why they would do that, aside from trying to fit a set number. So yeah, I do honestly think Sylveon will feature in Prismatic Evolutions. So yeah, very cool ability Safeguard, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's Pokemon EX. Kind of like Mimikyu and Pokemon V are about to rotate, so it shouldn't matter too much if you can't wall out Pokemon V Star. So yeah, Sylveon's pretty cool. I do think Flareon is probably the best of the evolutions. Burning Charge allows you to ramp 2 energy cards from your deck, and then Carnaline for a Fire, Water, Lightning does a whopping 280. During your next turn, this Pokemon can't attack, but it's 280 damage. That's a pretty good upside. So yeah, Flareon EX, probably the best EV EX to come out of this set, to be honest. Also, the regular EVX is very playable, just allowing you to evolve into any of the evolutions, which is cool. But aside from that, Flareon for sure is probably, I think, the best EVX in the set. Next up is we have Seeking / Liligant. RIP Liligant. Liligant is like the other Pokemon that's been softly deconfirmed for Prismatic Evolutions, so it's probably getting delayed. But yeah, it does have the very powerful ability Sunny Day, which could increase your grass and water types attacks by plus 20 damage. So Linglingant, along with Seeking, would have been really nice buffs for Diplin. But sadly, what's going to have to happen, and this is good news for Diplin players, but basically we'll probably do like some content about just a seeking focused build with Diplin. And then when Journey Together comes around, we'll be able to do another video with Liligant. So I guess we get 2 videos out of Diplin, which is cool for me. But, like it's a fun-esque deck, and you can kind of like build up to Liligant being in the next set. But aside from this, of course, it is very, very annoying, very frustrating, because obviously Japan has Liligant now. We want Liligant for Diplin, but we're going to have to wait a bit longer, it seems like. So, it might be in the set, you never know. But yeah, it's looking less and less likely by the day. Next up, though, is we have Treasure Gadget, probably the best ace spec in the set, and that's really not saying much. Search your deck for up to 5 Pokemon tool cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand. Very much a silly kind of rogue ace spec, if there ever was one. Does find a nice home in things like Garbodor Chuck deck, Electrode with Bang Boom Chain. Rotom V-Star, funny enough, also comes to mind. However, Rotom V-Star will also be rotating in April, so, bear that in mind if this deck does appeal to you. Your V-Star will rotate soon. But yeah, Electrode and Garbodor for sure could be a very fun combination. Personally, I've really enjoyed a Maximum Belt in these sorts of decks, just because it's a tool card already and already doing a ton of damage. But yeah, I could definitely see Treasure Gadget making for some fun decks at the very least, which is, what the Pokemon TCG is all about at the end of the day. Players can, dismiss cards as being uncompetitive and all the rest of it. But the truth is, we're here to have fun, and if a large chunk of the audience is casual and wants to play, wild and wacky decks, then, that's a good thing, funny enough. So, yeah, shock horror to all the players who exclusively want to play meta decks. But I know it's a lot more complicated than that. But, Treasure Gadget honestly seems like a very fun card. I know it's not the best ace spec in the world, but again, a very fun card. Then we have the other ace spec, Max Rod. I haven't really come up with many partners for this. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head either. Put up to 5 in any combination of Pokemon and basic energy cards from your discard pile into your hand. Okay, there's like so many better options to this. It's painful. Like Lana's Aid is honestly a much better card, and then even then you probably play like Super Rod and Night Stretcher before you even get to Lana's Aid. So Max Rod, absolute thumbs down from me. But if you really, really wanted to play this card, like Graffifi is probably your best bet. You may discard as many basic energy cards as you like from your hand, and you do 40 damage for each type basic energy card you discarded in this way. Pretty cool, to be honest. Could make for a fun combo, just so you can like smack for what's that? 120, 160, 200? I guess it's like free 200 damage, which is cool. Probably doing the maths wrong there. No, wait, no, that is 200. Never mind. Yeah, so Graffifi, kind of cool, could do for a fun budget deck, and Max Rod will be cheap, I'm sure. It's a terrible card, but, it's a fun ace spec, I guess, at the end of the day. Also, let me know if you found, like, any other combos for these ace specs. Like, there's a lot more tool combos and expanded as well, but I suppose that's one thing, is, like, you could take these into expanded and do more things with them. But yeah, Max Rod, not very appealing, sadly. Then we have Black Belt's Practice. It's a bit of a mouthful. But yeah, during this turn, attacks used by your Pokemon do 40 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon EX, which is pretty cool. It's not as flexible as Leon was. Leon, for those of you who don't know, was just plus 30 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. This is plus 40. However, it's just 2 EX. So things like Flareon could take advantage of this. So all of a sudden you're doing, what was that, 320, which is pretty gross against stage 2s. Then, of course, you can play things like Gravity Mountain to reduce their HP by minus 30. So, you can one-shot Charizard at that point, which is quite funny. Also, speaking of Charizard players might actually like Black Belt's Practice, just a plus 40 modifier. So, all of a sudden, you have to look at Burning Darkness as doing 220, and then plus 30 more damage for each prize card your opponent's taken against EXs at the very least. So, that sounds pretty cool. So, yeah, definitely think this supporter card will at least see some play. Also got this new Regigigas. Honestly, maybe my favorite card in the set at this rate, if Blaziken and Linglingant get cut. But yeah, Regigigas has the attack Dual Break, does 100 damage, and if your opponent's active Pokemon is a Terra Pokemon, it does 230 more. So you just one-shot any Terra Pokemon in the game. It's a very, very powerful attack. However, it does cost 4 colors energy, so it's a bit expensive. I have seen some lists use the Flareon to charge this up, but honestly, Lugia V-Star is probably the single best way. You just use Archops to get the energy on there. You could also use Chien-Pao, however, well, Lugia V-Star just flat out rotates in April, but just be careful with Chien-Pao as well, because Irida, which is probably the best supporter card and one of the best trainer cards in that deck, period, also rotates in April. So, yeah, I mean, you could also just do the things, just play the deck normally with Arven and stuff, but Chien-Pao probably does also get a lot less consistent without Irida, so just something to bear in mind and keep in the back of your head. Also, Palkia V-Star rotates, so yeah, Chien-Pao is getting mauled by rotation basically, but it's quite funny. It's a temporary buff. Lugia V-Star, of course, getting Regigigas buffs, so yeah, very very cool card, and hopefully we get more ways to accelerate energy to this because it's a very cool card. Then, of course, we have to talk about the main Pokemon from the set. It's got everyone talking. This is Budew, or Budew, or however you pronounce it. But yeah, Itchy Pollen for no energy does 10 damage and item locks your opponent. So very scary because it's very splashable in a lot of decks. And no, I don't think this will be the end of Stage 2 decks as we know it, despite stopping Rare Candy plays turn 2. They can't just Arven for TM evolution, so it's not the end of the world. However, it still slows them down quite a bit. It also stops things like Nest Ball, which I think is a big one. Earthen Vessel is quite huge as well in some decks. So yeah, honestly, I think Buddy will be quite scary. Also very easy to pull off. You just switch into this thing, Arven, Nest Ball switch, Buddy, there you go. So yeah, seems pretty flexible. Also got free retreat, so if you ever want to stop using Itchy Pollen, you can conveniently just retreat into a Pokemon. And it's free, words today, free energy, so you can just attach somewhere else and then attack with that Pokemon. So honestly, Budew might end up being a really good buff for Stage 2 decks that want to take their time. So, decks like Dragapult and Gardevoir, and even, yes, Charizard. So yeah, honestly, just a really cool card, very flexible, very playable. But yeah, thanks for watching. Sorry I can't really confirm in this video which cards are definitively being removed from the set. It's very annoying, but I'll let people know in a community post as soon as we've had complete confirmation. But yeah, it's been our power. Thank you for watching. This set sucks. RIP us players. Well, it doesn't suck. Like, that's a bit harsh. Like, the set is still pretty cool. There's some fun decks, like Regigigas is cool. Budew is very playable. Black Spell Practice seems pretty good. Max Rod is... I don't like this card. Treasure Gadget seems quite fun. Yeah, Liligant RIP. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Flareon, to be honest. Like, I'm not going to lie. The Flareon deck does look like a lot of fun. Hopefully Blaziken hasn't been cut, but yeah, Flareon especially, I think, is the one deck that I really want to try out. So yeah, honestly, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think down below. Hopefully I see you all again when you inevitably maybe decide to click on a video for these decks, but fingers crossed we get Liligant and Blaziken in the set. Fingers crossed, because that's at least 3 more videos I had planned out. So yeah, I really want to do a Blaziken deck profile on the channel. I really, really do. So thank you for watching. It's been Aaron Power, and yeah, thanks for watching.